morning. Welcome to the Unnamed Knitting Podcast. It may have a name by the time this goes up. That might be the name. I'm not sure yet. I haven't put much thought into it because this is supposed to be a super casual podcast. I don't want to feel any pressure. I don't do this for a living. I do this for fun, and that's what this is for us to have fun together and talk about knitting. It may or may not have a name. That may be the name. We'll see. My name is Lee. I am Lee Knits on Instagram, or I am Lee Yost on Ravelry. I'll have links to both of those below. I'm coming at you from just outside of Columbia, South Carolina, and it is very gloomy today. The lighting is going to be spotty because it is so overcast, and if the dog walks in front of me or anything, it's going to cast a shadow. So this podcast is primarily going to be about knitting because that's what I am, primarily a knitter, but I do also do some crochet, and I do also cross stitch. I go in and out of phases with cross stitch, so I'm probably only going to show you cross stitches that I'm working on once in a while, because there will be long stretches of time where nothing will have changed on them. Unless I go through a phase where I want to work on my cross stitches a lot, which does happen every once in a while. It was like all last year, I was just constantly cross stitching. I wanted to start this podcast because I have been getting a lot of joy watching podcasts, and I really miss being able to go and like hang out with people and knit and talk about knitting and fiber crafts. Like, I have friends who quilt and crochet and knit and all sorts of things, and we would be able to get together every once in a while, and you can't see my hands. I keep moving my hands, but you can't see them. But we get together every once in a while and hang out, and I just miss that social interaction. And hopefully being able to just sit here in this place with you without judgment, I'll be able to talk to my heart's content and get some of that need fulfilled. I also want to use this platform, this channel, to document some of the things, like be able to look back on projects that I completed, be able to look back on some things in just like my life, because there will be some lifestyle stuff on this channel, not in the podcast. I mean, you'll have like life updates in the podcast, but I may do like additional videos like studio tours or vlogs, stuff like that. I may try out like Vlogmas or Vlogtober or something. That sounds like it'd be a lot of fun. This channel is, I'm setting it up from the start as a no pressure. This is a super chill thing. We're just hanging out, talking. My fun fact today is that I am an Enneagram type 4, and I am a Cancer Sun, Cancer Moon, and a Libra rising. So if you are interested in any of those things, you know a little bit about me now. Sorry if I fidget, because I am fidgety. I'm sitting on the floor and I have carpet, so it makes noise when I move on it. Also, I have a dog. His name is Pud. I love him very much. He is my baby. And he is sitting right here beside me, right here, just out of camera. But he might make noise, he might go to sleep, so we'll see. All right, let's go ahead and start with finished objects, because not only do I have a couple of finished objects from just this past week or two, I'm not gonna go farther back than that because obviously you're gonna have a million in your first episode of your podcast. You're gonna have a million finished objects. But I'm just going to go back these last couple weeks. I only have a couple, but one of them is actually a milestone finished object. So we will start with this one. This finished object is the Traveler's Loop by Dawn Barker, also the dyer of for Chasing Rabbits Fiber Co. And it is a scarf, an infinity scarf. It's a loop, but it is long enough to wrap around twice, and is also knitted using helix knitting. It's helically knit, so there's no like seam or anything. And should I move you down a little bit? Let me see. I'm trying not to show you too much of the floor because I have like Ethernet cords and not cute stuff down here, but I think that's better. Okay. But that's it. It's super cute and super squishy, which I would do just about anything for a squishy knit. And yeah, what I made it out of was I used 2 skeins, one of each color of, ooh, gosh, all right, Fiber Spates Vivacious 4-ply, and I have tags somewhere. Tags in front of me. All right, I used Fiber Spates Vivacious 4-ply. Here are the tags. They're each different, but I don't know which one's the most recent design of the tag. It's the same brand. And the colors I used were Copper Tones and Peach Bellini. Copper Tones is 602 Copper Tones, and Peach Bellini is 622 Peach Bellini. And the Peach Bellini is actually, I'm gonna have to edit this video anyway, so I'm gonna get up real quick and I'm gonna grab my little scrap so you can see what the colors look like on their own. Hold on. All right, I'm back. Yeah, it's hard to see the colors when they're knit together like this because it's just garter stitch, so every other row is a color. And since it's garter, there's lots of purl bumps, so it's really hard to see what the individual colors look like. It's so beautiful together though. But this is Peach Bellini. There we go. Peach Bellini. And Copper Tones. Copper Tones is actually not very coppery. It's actually just brown. But I love it. I love the combination of the kind of more neutral brown and the really warm Peach Bellini together. I think it's just perfect. And yeah, I bought those from my local yarn store. They're not open right now, but they are doing online orders. I'm gonna try not to take too many sips, but it is 9 in the morning and I have not had any coffee yet. I literally just made this, so. Drinking coffee from my Allison Fretheim mug. She is a ceramic witch and she's wonderful and hilarious, and her mug is the most beautiful, amazing mug. I use it every day. And this coming from someone who has a million mugs. That is another fun fact about me. All right. Now, the second finished object I have is it's my first pair of socks. I actually knitted a sock back in college. I've been knitting for a long time, but through various degrees of aggression. Sometimes I'll knit casually, sometimes I will knit not at all, and sometimes I'll knit like really aggressively. I'm in a really aggressive period now. But in college, a friend asked me to knit her a pair of socks, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll totally, you know, like that's a great excuse for me to try knitting socks. And I knit her one sock and got a real bad case of second sock syndrome. I could not get the second one finished. So I decided, my husband has been asking me for a pair of socks for as long as we've been together. He really wants a pair of socks. I had to learn magic loop, and I wanted to learn how to knit socks 2 at a time. So I wanted to do all those things in one go, and I did. I knitted these 2 socks. They are 2 a pair. I knitted them 2 at a time on magic loop, and they are actually the Cottage Socks pattern by Hooked on Tilly, or I don't know her actual name, I just know she's Hooked on Tilly on YouTube. And I have a lot of feelings about these. They are obviously beautiful, like the colors and the wool. He's worn them a couple times, so there are probably some hairs, but they're wool. They are Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, which is their worsted weight. It is so squishy and so warm, and it's not itchy at all, but it feels like sturdy. I love Brooklyn Tweed yarn. You're going to see a lot of it on my channel. You're actually going to see it a few times in this episode, but it is. Let me just tell you real quick before I go into my feelings about the pattern, that it is Brooklyn Tweed Shelter. There you go. I hope it's focusing. And the colors are Foothills and Yellowstone, and I believe this color is Foothills and this color is Yellowstone. Don't quote me on that. I think that's right. But yeah, it's worsted weight. So these are worsted weight socks, which is fine. He wanted house socks, not socks to wear, because he's also precious about socks. He only wears like really cheap socks when he's like wearing shoes. But lounging around the house, he will wear a nice pair of wool socks. So about the pattern, it was very easy. It was a very easy basic sock pattern, which was great for learning how to make a pair of socks. Definitely great, but I do not recommend it with this yarn. I don't know. I even gauged. I swear I did. I'm really bad about gauging. I don't do it half the time. I'm trying to get better, but I did gauge swatch with these. And Tilly, is her name actually Tilly? Hooked on Tilly. I don't know if her name is actually Tilly or not. She even says in her pattern that she is a tight knitter and that you may want to adjust your gauge for tight knitting. And let me tell you how I adjusted for this pattern, because I'm not a tight knitter, I'm a very loose knitter. But I think that this yarn may also be slightly heavier than the yarn she used. Even though the gauge worked out to be the same, I think it might actually be slightly heavier, and I'm pretty sure it's because it being wool definitely has something to do with it. You know, it gives out a little bit once you block it. And she used acrylic yarn, which I don't use. I don't use acrylic yarn. I don't buy plastic fiber yarn anymore. I only buy natural fiber yarn. It's because that's what I like to work with. It's my personal preference. I like to make sure that my yarn is natural fiber, and I like to make sure that it is as responsibly sourced as possible. That being said, that has nothing to do with what I was talking about, but these socks are huge. They're so big. Like, you can tell that they're big in the screen, but like they're actually huge. I have big hands. My hands are 7 inches long, and these socks are huge. And like, my husband has man feet, like they're bigger than mine, but they are not. He wears a size 10, 10 and a half men's, which isn't this big. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's I also, not only is the yarn, not only must the yarn be different, but I used a size down from the needle she recommended, at least one whole size down from the needle she recommended. I used a size 5. And I'm pretty sure she uses a size 6 in her pattern. And I made the women's size 7.5 to size 9, which is the size that I would normally wear, because I would have a size 9 foot. So normally if I had made the pattern, I would have had to make the next size up for the women's like big foot for him to be able to wear them. And I made the size down for him and sized my needle down, and they're still too big for him. So I'm not sure how many things went wrong in this pattern, but and he wears them. Like, they're big and squishy and floppy, but that's not how socks are supposed to be. So I think what I'm actually gonna do is frog them and remake them with a just vanilla sock pattern, because now now that I've made these, I have a much better grasp of how socks are made. I am much less intimidated by socks now, even though those didn't turn out great. They did turn out looking beautiful, and that yarn is perfect. I'm going to go to an almost finished object, and then we'll go on to whips. Now my only almost finished object is it's this. It's the Pineberry Tee by We Are Knitters, and it's actually really nice. Like, it's super soft. I actually used their yarn too. The cotton, cover my face, I'm sure you can see that even whether it's focused or not. It's the cotton in the color gray, And I ordered this hoping that it would be bluish like it was on the computer screen, and it definitely is. It's definitely like a really blue gray. I made the size large. Normally I would wear an extra large, but I made it a size down because I am dieting. I know you're not supposed to do that, but I'm turning 30 this year and I'm really serious about it. So this is just another thing on my list of motivation. But it's almost finished. Obviously you can see that it's got a sleeve on it, and it's got, you know, the front and back are done. I have the other sleeve here. It's made all in piece. It's made all pieced and then sewn together. So all I have to do is attach the other sleeve, sew up the side seams, and then weave in ends, and then it's done. But I had a hard time with the sleeves for this because for some reason the sleeves ended up really, really small. So I had to frog the sleeves and knit them larger. And when I mess up on something like that, I tend to just like put things aside and not want to deal with them for a while. So I had to like let it rest. That's what I'll call it. I'll call it letting it rest while I gather the gumption to pick it up again. So that's where I'm at with that. Almost done. I don't feel like working on it very often, but you know, whatever. All right, whips. We will start with the cross stitch whips first because I want to get them out of the way. And I have not been working on them very much, as I said earlier. So this will be the only time you see them until I actually get something done on them again. So who knows how long that will be. But they're probably the least interesting thing for you. So here we go. All right, the first one is on a hoop that is too big for it. But it is this one. It is the, what's it called? The Let's Stay Home cross stitch from Satsuma Street, and she is my favorite cross stitch designer. I have done like 12 of hers before. I don't like those really old school cross stitches. I like really like graphic, geometric, clean cross stitches, so I love modern cross stitches. And she definitely does that. It is not very far along, as you can see, and I also have a needle minder that she designed as well on here. And this is what the pattern looks like. It's Let's Stay Home. This is a free pattern that she had released. I don't know if it's still free or still available at all, but she had released this for free. I think it is on her website, Satsuma Street. I don't know if it's .com or what. But she released it for the quarantine so that people would have, you know, something to do while you're home. But I also thought it was really cute, so I'm doing it. And I did change the colors. I don't know if you noticed, I didn't point it out, but she has her list of colors here, and you can see I also filled in my other colors, the colors I replaced it for. You can pause and screenshot that if you want, if you're interested. You can't see much of what I did yet. Well, I can show you the colors though. She does really, really bright, like vibrant rainbowy colors, and this one was definitely like there's a rainbow on it. It was very vibrant, and I'm just not a really vibrant kind of person. You will probably see that as this podcast goes along. So far you've already seen I've had grays and olive green, like drab olive greens and like browns. That's me. So I adjusted the colors. I have my little, this is my cross stitch bag. So green, I'm so green. This is super squishy and fuzzy, but I keep a pair of scissors and I keep all of the current cross stitch embroidery floss that I am using in it. And I have 2 cross stitches on the go, so there's two cross stitches worth of floss in here, but one of the cross stitches is only one color. The next one I'm going to show you is only one color. So I can show you the colors that I picked for my Satsuma Street pattern, and if you like them better than the ones that she used, you can feel free to go back and write down the colors that I picked. There's still like a really vibrant like hot pink in here, but other than that, I picked much more muted colors. And like you may not be able to tell just by looking at them in my hand, like they may look hella vibrant. I'm not supposed to curse. Whatever, I can say hella if I want because YouTube did all of that nonsense about stuff being not kid friendly. This is not a kid friendly channel, get your kids away. I'm trying to spread these out on my hand. There are 2 iridescent colors. Cover my face. they're not gonna focus because my hand is full and I can't use it. And these are the other colors I picked. Like, they don't look muted at all. Like, they look vibrant. But next to hers are a lot of like pinks, and you'll be able to see the difference if you look at her pattern, because on her Instagram at craftnik, that's CRAFTNIK, you can see the finished cross stitch that she did, her sample cross stitch. So if you can look at these and then look at hers, and you'll be able to see the difference. So if you wanted a more muted option, there you go. I gave it to you. All right, done with that. The second cross stitch whip I have is long going. I don't know if you've heard of it. You may have heard of it, but it's Death by Cross Stitch. And it is on this giant like 14-inch hoop right now. And it is not looking nearly as big as it is on screen because, you know, I'm here. But this is as far as I am on it. When it's done, it will be this long and this wide. So I'm literally only working on like a 1/6 of the cross stitch right now. And I'm not even done with that. So this thing is going to be monstrous. But I'm just working on it a little bit at a time. One day it'll be done. But it's Death by Cross Stitch by Long Dog Samplers. There you go. Those are my cross stitch whips. Maybe the last time you see them for a minute. I have 2 other projects going right now. I have found that I have 3 other projects going right now. I don't know why I just told you 2. I literally have 3 sitting right here. My sweet spot is 3 whips at a time, but I also like to have a 4th, maybe 5th whip, 1 or 2 long going whips. So something like a blanket or something like a scrappy project, something like that. I don't have a scrappy project started yet. I have been planning one, but I don't have one yet. Oh, I actually have another finished object. Well, I'm going to grab that real quick because the finished object and the 3rd whip that I have, my long running whip, is actually just sitting like a little too far out of my reach. So I'm gonna grab this real quick. I was not prepared today. All right. So like I said, my sweet spot is 3 whips, like 3 regular whips, and 1 or 2 long running whips. I am out of breath. It's all this talking. I haven't been used to talking. Before I do my final whips, these are like the ones that I keep in my hands. I'll do the finished object that I forgot to show you because it's little. I made a posy. Isn't it cute? Oh, there you go. A little crooked, but you can like wiggle him around. This is my posy. I don't remember the designer, but I will put it below. It is on my Ravelry projects page if you go see my Ravelry. My dog thinks it's his toy. It is not a toy. Yeah, I just cranked this out during work one day. I am working from home. Using scraps of just Lily Sugar and Cream cotton. And I used the color yellow. I'm pretty sure it's just yellow. Stop, please. Tangerine and lilac. Those are the 3 colors. I just had scraps of them, and I had this really pretty like iridescent button. So pulled that out of my bag of buttons, made this. There you go. That's another whip, or another finished object. That's a 3rd finished object, which is great. You can see my boy. He's bad. Whips. All right, whips. First whip is the one I cast on 2nd of the 3 that I'm going to show you. I have it in this little basket that I crocheted out of scraps. It's real floppy and squishy, so it like flops open so I can have it sitting somewhere, and I really like it. Anyways, in this little project bag, I have my working shawl, because I actually have been having a couple of, because I had my traveler's loop going at the same time as this one, and I'm about to cast on a new shawl. I'll talk about that later. But this one is the Bryce shawl from Taylor and Knits. And this is a shawl that looks kind of weird until it's blocked. But once it's blocked, it is going to be so beautiful. It is it's all garter ridge sections, and dropped stitches. So it's very lacy, very light. It's made out of a lace weight yarn. And it's just a triangular, starts at one point and gets bigger. I'm about halfway down the length, but since it gets bigger, you know, as you get to the end, I'm probably only about a third of the way done with the whole thing. But yeah, it looks really weird and like lumpy now, but it's going to look so beautiful once it's blocked. And I am very excited about it. It's very light, and I just want to have a variety of weights of scarves and shawls and stuff. So yeah, I'm using Brooklyn Tweed Veil, which is their lace weight yarn. And I will show you the tag. Looks just like the shelter tag, but it says Veil. So I'm using the Brooklyn Tweed Veil yarn, and I'm using the color Klimt. What's the color there? Klimt. Like Gustav, the artist. But this is what a full cake of it looks like wound up, and I have gone through this much of the first cake. And I don't think I have to go through 2 whole cakes, but I need at least 1 and some. So I have 2 cakes in there. I can probably give you some more information because I keep all the patterns that I'm currently working on a clipboard. And this is the Bryce pattern. Taylor Ann Bryce. So you can see how big it ends up being. This is the second pattern I've done from her, and I really like her patterns. Her patterns are really simple and really clean, but focus a lot on like texture, which is what I'm about. I don't like a lot of like frilly, froofy stuff. I like really simple, clean, like clean lines, geometric, crisp knits. So that's what she does, and I really appreciate it. I really like her knits. And my second whip is a pair of socks. Oh my god, yeah. This one's for me, actually. I decided after, oh, let me adjust. I was sitting on one leg and now it's going to sleep. Okay. I decided after those last socks for my husband, after they went so poorly, that I wanted to just figure out what size socks we wear and be able to just like know out of fingering weight, just know how big to make socks. So I started with me because I was home and I could measure my foot. I started making not really a vanilla pair of socks. I used a pattern from Tin Can Knits. Yeah, Tin Can Knits. It is their Rye Light sock pattern, and it is a vanilla sock pattern. It just has a garter ridge on the front of the sock, and it has a turned and gusseted heel instead of like a other type of heel, like a not turned and gusseted heel. So yeah, I've been using that one, and I am making this pair with a heel with a gusset, but I don't think I like it. I think I'm going to be like many of you and not like it. So I already purchased the pattern for the Fish Lips Kiss heel, and I think I might try that one next on my next pair of socks. But just to get sizing and stuff, I didn't want to like pull another pattern into these. So I just kept it, and I've already done the heel turn and the leg. I'm I'm doing these top down. I think I prefer top down, so this is them so far. And you can see that garter ridge on the front. I really like the texture of it. And that's my progress keeper. This was day 1, and this was what I got done yesterday. Got all the heel turn and stuff. But yeah, these are, I love these colors. Like I sat here and told you about how many like not vibrant color, how not into vibrant colors I am. But let me tell you, this cornflower blue, I am into that color. And I just love it with this red. I don't know, it takes me back. I used to wear a lot of primary colors, and I really like these together. And these are also probably going to be either like rain boot socks or around the house socks. They're not going to be like everyday wear socks. These are 100% lamb's wool. I don't know what kind of wool the red is, because the red was a little scrappy piece. I ordered 2 colors of yarn from a girl, I don't know her name, but she's recycled yarn, natural recycled yarn on Etsy, I think, and just recycled yarn on Instagram. And she frogs sweaters, like store-bought sweaters. She frogs them and makes usable yarn out of them. So you can just buy completely recycled yarn. And it's honestly like my favorite idea ever. Like, I buy new wool, but I love the idea of buying completely recycled wool, not just for sustainability, but also for the part of my heart that wants to see sheep happy. So yes, this yarn is, like I said, 100% lamb's wool. It is technically a fingering weight, but I have been using it doubled up. That is also the reason that I'm only knitting 1 sock at a time, because I asked her when she sent it to me to send it up caked already. And I was honestly just too lazy to cake it into 4, like take it and recake it into 4 cakes. So I could only knit 1 sock at a time because I was using the yarns doubled up. It's so beautiful. It's so soft and so nice. And it comes with these little tags, and it tells you recycled yarn, 100% lamb's wool. In my past life, I was a Ralph Lauren sweater, and then tells you the yardage. So there was 712 yards in 1 cake, and the other cake has 598 yards. So a whole sweater in these 2 cakes, and that sound is really annoying, so I'm gonna stop and try not to put those back in there right this second. I love it, and it's really lovely to work with. She cleans it, and she gets it. It's still a little ramen-y when it comes in, some more ramen-y than others. This actually looks pretty good. Got a leaf on it. So it is a little ramen-y because it's obviously a frogged sweater, one that's probably been washed lots of times because they're used. But the way I hold my yarn, I tension my yarn, it doesn't affect how it knits up at all. I ordered a second, in my order with this yarn, I also ordered another color, which would obviously have been another sweater, which obviously would be different, like fiber content and stuff, for socks for Brad. So I'm going to use that color. He's my husband, Brad. I have not introduced him by his name. But I'm going to use that yarn to figure out the sizing, standard sizing for his foot for socks, fingering weight socks, after I'm done with these. But those are like a burgundy, and they are Shetland wool. So I'm very excited to see what that's like, because it's Shetland and this is lamb's wool. So obviously this is way softer. I hope he doesn't think I'm trying to like trick him with scratchier socks. Shetland wool though, I did research on it because I didn't want to make him something that he couldn't wear. And Shetland wool, you may know this already, because I consider myself an amateur knitter because I don't take it that seriously. I do it and I enjoy it, and I love being good at the things I try to do, you know? I don't know. The most serious thing I've ever done with my knitting is a single test knit. And I would do it again. I really enjoyed test knitting. But I'm not trying to make money off of my knitting. I don't try to sell anything. I don't really try to make things for other people very often. I'll make things for Brad because I live with him and I love him. And eventually, you know, you just kind of run out of being able to make things for yourself. Like, how many scarves do you need? But yeah, I don't know. I guess I consider myself amateur, but I do it a lot. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I didn't know this about Shetland wool. You might, but I did not know that Shetland wool is scratchy to the touch, like it feels scratchy, but it's not irritating to skin. Like other wools can be actually itchy, like make you feel itchy, but Shetland wool, even though it feels scratchy, it is not actually irritating to the skin. The yarn makeup of the actual makeup of the fiber content of that wool doesn't have that thing in it that makes it itchy to skin. So I feel confident that even though they may feel scratchy to the touch, that once he puts them on his feet, that he will be fine. So yeah, that is my second whip and my last whip. This is going on way longer than I thought it would. I thought this was going to be real quick. Apparently you can talk a lot about yarn. This last whip is a long-standing whip, and I say long, but I probably cast it on in like February, so not that long. But it is a blanket. It is the Mosaic blanket by Pearl Soho, and I also have this up on my Ravelry page, but I don't think it has all the details. This is, I have it folded in half right now, and it's scrunched up, but it's looking so cute. The battery's getting low, so I hope it survives. It's cotton. I chose a cotton for it, and I know people talk a lot of crap about cotton, but I knit a lot with cotton. I love cotton. This is a very soft and squishy, I'm sure probably mercerized cotton. And I think I altered the number of stitches that I cast on, because it gives you the option, like just make sure that the pattern is a certain whatever. I think I did alter the stitches to make it a little bit bigger than the pattern called for. I don't remember if that was because of my gauge or if that was because I just wanted a bigger blanket. Probably both. The yarn I'm using, I have 2 untouched cakes ready to go, lined up here in my project bag, but this is what they look like separate. This looks really red on camera, but it is actually orange, like a blood orange color. They are the colors, they're Barocco Modern Cotton, the worsted weight, not the DK weight, because it comes in both. It is 60% Pima cotton and 40% modal rayon, and rayon is a viscose, which means it is a plant fiber. It is derived from plants. Watch me say that, I sound so sure of myself, and then someone's gonna call me out, but I'm pretty sure viscose is a plant fiber. Oh, this one is the color 1601, and I believe it's actually Lighthouse is the name of the color. I think it might be discontinued. I found a few skeins of it at my local yarn store, and then I needed like 8 of them for the blanket, so I had to go hunting on the internet, and I found some on, it wasn't on Barocco's website anymore, but I found some on like Jimmy Bean's Wool or something, I don't remember. And this color is oh no. No, this one's 1601. This is 1601. I don't know the name of the color. It is in my, on my Ravelry page in the project. And this one is 1643, Lighthouse. But yeah, it's knitting up so soft and squishy, and I love it. It's so good. I only work on it a little bit at a time. I'm actually setting a goal for myself. I set it yesterday to start knitting on it 30 minutes at a time every morning. And it's not in a regular project bag. It's actually in this giant tote from my husband's work. My socks are not in a project bag at all. I actually just started feeling the need for project bags because I started keeping more projects on the go. I used to only knit like one thing at a time. But I did ask for a project bag, a really nice project bag for my birthday. So my husband's ordered that. Also, my socks were not shown to you on sock blockers because I do not own sock blockers yet, because as I told you, those socks for my husband were my first socks ever. So I did not have sock blockers. I do have some coming, but I am in a place right now where I don't want to buy things that aren't going to last me forever. So I'm only trying to buy the things I really need, and I'm only trying to buy them really nice, either really high quality ones or handmade, or buy small or from small businesses. Whatever combination of that works for me. So I did buy some gorgeous handmade sock blockers. They're on their way. I will be sure to show you in whatever podcast follows the day they arrive. I also, what else? I'm supposed to be telling you about plans for cast-ons. Okay. I don't have a lot of plans for cast-ons right now. I do. I have a lot of plans for cast-ons. I actually recently, during this whole quarantine thing, I have been buying a lot of yarn. I bought myself a couple of skeins of hedgehog fibers for a shawl for myself, and I've bought lots of sock yarn, and I've bought lots of, I bought 2 sweater quantities of wool from Brooklyn Tweed, one for an actual sweater and one for a coat, so I can knit myself a legit wool coat. I don't know if you remember, but I live in South Carolina, but I will go into that a bit more in updates here in a minute. I want to go in a little bit to what I want to be documenting that I mentioned also at the beginning of the podcast. But yes, a wool coat. It doesn't have buttons, so I guess technically it is a big sweater or a cardigan. I could add buttons and buttonholes. I may or may not do that. I'm not sure yet, but it's the pitch coat. The pattern itself is on Brooklyn Tweed as well. But yeah, I'm very excited about that. It is going to be, I need to start it soon because it is going to take a long time to finish, I'm sure. And those 2 things are the big things I have lined up. I've decided that I want to keep a pair of socks on the go, so I do plan on keeping a pair of socks going as constantly as I can. And the last thing I have planned to cast on is a shawl for my mother. I've picked the pattern. I'm not telling her that I'm podcasting, so she shouldn't see this until after it's done, if she sees it at all ever. But I purchased, it is not here yet. I'm very excited for it to get here. I will probably be able to show you in the next podcast. But I purchased yarn from Long Dog Yarns. She came out with a summer line of yarns that are absolutely beautiful. They're all based on tropical drinks. And I've purchased 3 colors from that, and I will be making the Doodler shawl by Stephen West with it for my mother. So that is the next thing I will be casting on. If I can finish this pair of socks that I'm currently working on, I'll probably cast on another pair of socks. But do you want to leave? You have to wait. I'll probably cast on another pair of socks. If I can finish this Bryce shawl though, I may cast on my sweater or coat, because I do want to get both of those started. But those are my only plans right now. Please stop licking me. Thank you. And updates. For updates, everything is going to be an update for you because this is my first episode of the podcast, but hopefully in the future, these will be actual updates about life and knitting, I guess. I don't have any updates for my crafty stuff, my knitting or crochet or anything. But for life updates, I did want to give you a quick rundown of what's going to be going on because I have a lot in the works that I want to also be able to document through this. I would love to be able to look back on vlogs or the podcast and see when things were happening, how things were happening, where they were happening, all that kind of stuff. We are currently going through a big change, me and my husband and my dog. This is our entire family, it's just the 3 of us. We live in South Carolina right now. We have always lived in South Carolina. Brad was born in Virginia, but moved here when he was like a baby and has lived here ever since. In various areas. I have lived in this area, like within this 30-minute radius, for my entire life, except for the 4 years I went away to college. I still went to college in South Carolina. It was an hour and a half away from where I live now, but it was still in South Carolina. So I've lived in South Carolina literally my entire life. We're moving. You probably could have guessed that. But we are moving. We are currently in the process of finishing our house, preparing it to sell. We are listing next week. So this is all happening like right now. We've been talking about it for years now, but we're visiting places and trying to decide where we wanted to go. And we finally decided that we are moving to Pennsylvania. We'll be doing it within the next couple of months. We have already lined up a place there to live. Move-in is August 1st. So we have between now, which is, what is today? It's May 27th. We are listing the house next week, and then we hope it can sell within those 2 months, June and July, because we have to move into our new apartment in August. Oh man, it's coming up and it's a lot. I've been We own this house, so that's why I said we were listing it to sell. This was our first house. We have lived here for 5 years and it was great. We loved our time here. The reason we're moving is because it is too hot. Partly because it's too hot. I don't like the heat. Every year in South Carolina, it's an armpit and it's so humid. It's very humid here. And every year I spend the entire warm months, which are most of the months, May, usually April to November. This month has been more mild, so it still hasn't, it's getting hot now, but only like just now. I don't even go outside. I can't handle living in a place where I can't even go outside. So that's been our lives. Finally decided it was just too much. I want to move somewhere milder. We have other reasons too, like, that I probably won't get into right now, but it's exciting to be able to just like get rid of all your stuff. We're getting rid of most of our stuff and starting over from scratch in a new place. It's exciting. So and we can, so why not? It's really not, like, it's harder for us because we have to sell a house. If we were renting, it would be super easy. Like, if y'all want to just drop everything and move, why not? How that's relevant here is that we are moving to Pennsylvania from South Carolina, so I will be able to wear more of my knits for more time. So I've been very excited. That's probably one of the reasons I've been so active in knitting lately, is because I have been making cold weather clothes that I know I'll be able to wear. It's so exciting. Honestly, like, I wanted to move to a cooler climate because I just can't stand the heat, but also, like, I don't want to say I'm moving because I want to be able to knit more, but it is a nice perk, you know? It is a nice perk. So I am excited about that. But that is a big, big life move. I've been planning because like I said, we already have our place we're going to be living up there. So I know exactly how much room we're gonna have. I know exactly, they sent me floor plans and stuff. So I've been like planning my new studio space, because I told you guys at the very beginning, mentioned briefly that I'm also an illustrator. Like, that's my day job. I illustrate and graphic design for a living. So my studio space is not just a craft room, it is a studio with all of my art, as well as all of my craft stuff, like all my yarn and things. I currently have a guest bedroom in our home, and it is not huge. I will be upgrading to a larger space in our new apartment. It's actually a townhouse, not an apartment. I'm picking the larger bedroom for my studio because all we do in our actual bedroom is sleep. So we get the smaller bedroom for sleeping and the larger bedroom for the studio, which is opposite of what we have here right now. I'm very excited, and I plan on documenting all of it for this channel. Studio tours, setups, hopefully I can do like befores and afters. It'll be great. I'm very excited about it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun setting up a new like craft room. It's gonna be a lot of fun like meeting new people at new yarn stores, and I'm excited. I'm so excited. I'm scared. I'm nervous. I'm real nervous. We're listing our house next week and I'm stressed, but I'm also very excited. That's the big update, and expect to see more content related to it. That's why I wanted to make sure to put it in this first podcast. You will be getting vlogs in the future, I'm sure. But I wanted to make sure to mention that because it will come up again many times, I'm sure. It's huge. So that's all I got today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for joining me. It was really nice to just sit here for a long time. I have no idea how long this video is gonna be, but it was really nice to sit here and talk to you about knitting and life. It's great. Please subscribe if you enjoyed and you want to see more. I'm hoping to do this every week. It'll probably be every week. I might miss a week every once in a while, but I'll try to do it every week. Follow me on Instagram. Check out my Ravelry if you have questions about, like, questions in your brain about any of the projects that I showed today, because I have like definitely at least yarn details up on there. Or let me know if you have any questions in the comments, whatever, I'll answer them down there. And yeah, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. This gives me an excuse once a week to get dressed and put makeup on. So thanks, and I will see you guys in the next one. I was trying really hard not to have to edit this video. Guess I'm gonna have to though. Anyways, My name is Lee. I had bangs before quarantine. Now they're grown out. Anyways. And for my socks on a project bag, I got a is the chopper.